Morning.
Good to see you.
Nice beard.
Yeah.
Matt, how are you? Glad to be here. We're gonna get rolling. It's 11:01 a.m. and I'll call the District 21 Board of Commissioners regular meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You. And we will have a roll call. I'm Bruce Ansel.
Kimberly McMurray.
Jason Vanderbeek, Fire Chief.
Sean Ward. Joel Nielsen.
All right. Is there any public comment? All right, we will open the Volunteer Pension Board meeting at 11:02, and we have the March 16th minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll consider his second motion a second. All in favor, or any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, thank you. New volunteers. Chief, I see 1, 2, maybe 3.
Yes, sir. We have 3 new volunteers for the tender group.
Oh.
Laura Brewer, George Hargan Rader, and Casey Martin have all applied and passed through all the medical, physical, and everything. And we'd like to bring them on as tender support volunteers.
And where did they come from?
They're just community members, and the tender group tends to do their own volunteering their own recruiting. And these are just neighbors and people that have bumped into our tender group or seen it operating and asked them how they can get involved.
Nice. So we need a motion to approve their volunteerism.
Yes, sir. So they can, that will allow them to go on. We'll add them to the pension and all those things.
Okay. So is there a motion to add 3 new volunteers to our ranks?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Unanimous. And then we have a volunteer separation.
Yes, tender operator or tender group volunteer Mike Petum is separating. He's moved to Idaho, so he's out of the area. He was with the department for 5 years. Okay. Sent him a letter thanking him for his service. Had a nice conversation with him on the phone. Told him to, if he ever is back in the area, look us up. But yeah, for now, he and his family have moved.
Very good. All right. So we need a motion to approve his separation.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I just would like to thank Mike for his time here. I know when I first got here and would attend community events, he tended to be there a lot. And kind of reminded me of the old days when we had enough volunteers to show up to these kinds of things. But he certainly was active in my community in Birch Bay, and I've seen him in other areas around the district. So we appreciate the time he spent with us. So anyway, so all in favor of Mike's separation? It's unanimous. Thank you. Pension eligibility.
Yes, former volunteer firefighter Matt McDaniel, who served with both District 13 and North Whatcom from 2001 to 2013, has applied for his pension.
And he's just like, it's a lump sum thing.
Yeah, he's
Okay, so, all those, and that, where does that money, does that come out of
The pension.
the pension fund, which we pay into annually?
Yeah.
And so the pension gives him this check. It's not coming out of our budget. Just FYI, the monthly pension would be $21.76 or $2,982.15 for 10 years service. All those in favor of approving the pension eligibility for Matt McDaniel? Sorry,
So moved.
let's move it first. And second it, someone. Thank you. All right, so moved and seconded. I guess I had my discussion already, so all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Any other business before the pension board? Chief? Okay, so with that said, I will move to adjourn the pension board meeting.
Oh, so moved.
You can second it. All right. All in favor? All right, we are adjourned. And it's 11:08. And I'll open the regular Board of Commissioners meeting with the first item being the consent agenda. Meeting minutes from March 11 and March 16th, the staff reports, financial report. Total revenue for March was $602,310.72. The expenditures for April were $966,440.60, which included the direct deposit payroll of $418,968.35, payroll taxes, $100,408.15, benefits voucher $316,389.66. Monthly expenditure voucher $120,071.95. Capital projects $875.20. Capital projects apparatus $9,240.06. And the volunteer fund $487.23. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I was just wondering if, Chief, you wanted to add anything that won't be discussed in the rest of the agenda from your report. Okay. All in favor of approving the consent agenda? It's unanimous. Commissioner meeting reports.
I have continued to attend the Blaine City Council meetings, but nothing that really needs to come to light for us so far. And also working on my grant writing.
Okay.
Do a presentation now or later? Oh, no, it's
Later. Matt, did you participate in anything recently? All right. Uninspired or? All right, and other than just following the council's movement on the TIF issue, I didn't.
Did you go to that
42nd district meeting in March?
I did.
Was that during the last meeting, or it was the 18th?
I will see where it fell on the calendar. I guess it was after the meeting. So that was the Ferndale with our state senator and representatives at Ferndale High School auditorium. You know, there wasn't really anything specific to us in the fire districts. It was mostly about community issues, social work stuff, mental health stuff. Yeah, they didn't address the tax limit issue, or like I said, anything that I thought was pertinent to us. And because of the way it was set up, there were questions from the audience they took, but it wasn't convenient afterwards to like meet with them personally. There was a lot of other community members that were kind of lining up. And I felt since we had met them in Olympia, we'd sort of accomplished what we were trying to do there. I still think once the session is over, we should have an invitation to all three of them if they're in the area to meet with a board member and the chief or whomever to help them understand our issues. So Local 106.
Thanks for having me. First, I just want to say thanks to all the people working the overtime. There's been a lot of mandatories again, unfortunately, which has led us to start pre-scheduling overtime starting in May, like we did last year. So pre-scheduling a month in advance just to kind of help alleviate with that. Will help. Today is the graduation of the 4 new recruits, so they'll be hitting the line soon. So that'll alleviate some stress. Myself and Danny Jensen just got back from Ed Seminar over in Tri-Cities. It was actually very beneficial, learned a lot of stuff, beneficial to members and the district as well. So it was very insightful. Our vice president of the big local stepped down for personal reasons. So we're going to hold an election next month after people declare. We also have the pancake feed coming up on July 15th. Shout out to Cody Bowen and Catherine Stewart for spearheading this, and the local donated $500 towards it. So more information will be coming from them. That is all I have for right now.
Where's that going to be?
Station 12.
Good spot.
I think that's also a raspberry festival weekend.
Cool. Have pancakes with raspberries. July 15th. All right, thank you. Any legal issues?
No.
All right, move on to unfinished business, District 4.
So District 4, 2 meetings regarding that. One was the planning meeting, and then the board meeting, which was last Monday. The sum total of those is that we're going to have a public hearing, a in-person public hearing to decide the levy rate. I will be proposing two different levy rates, which will set them up in 2 different ways. $1.15 and 84 cents. 84 cents comes from Liz Loomis, their PR person, who certainly has more experience than I, and looking at the long game. She feels strongly that parity with North Whatcom, and then a bundle next year, going out again in District 4 and District 21, and completing the RFA, doing it as a package deal. whether it's merger or RFA. But we've put a lot of work and time and money into the RFA. It makes sense to complete the project. We know it's A, the trend, and B, it needs to be done. And we're really this close on completing.
That's 60%.
60%. That's why she also talked about merger, that maybe a merger and then formation of an RFA later. Do you do it in multiple steps? So merge District 4 into District 21, and then District 21 on its own as the large district, form an RFA after that. Switch models from a fire district to an RFA. But in the short lift is getting May 1st.
I was just going to ask you.
7 p.m. public meeting, public hearing at Station 12. District 4 board will be in attendance, and I will present, they will debate, and then decide on a levy rate moving forward.
Will be some of what happened in that Saturday meeting of presenting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I have some other people I've talked to that live in District 4 and that weren't at that meeting.
We'll probably go over kind of briefly what led us to this point and why the need for a levy lid lift.
Okay.
And why the need for so much.
Perfect.
Or not so much, but that amount. Why those two amounts are important. Sir. A merger. The merger could happen at any time you hold a vote. It's the district that merges into. So District 4 would have to merge into North Whatcom. That's my understanding. That could really happen at any time. I believe our main focus next year needs to be on District 21 levy increase, figuring out what that number is and putting it on the ballot for August of 2025. I feel we're at a critical point.
2025 or 2024?
Sorry, 2024. Yes, thank you. 2024. I feel we're at a pretty critical point with our levy rate. If we see the assessed valuation go up, similar to how it has over the last 4 or 5 years, we're going to drop into the 60s. And yes, it'll still be 1% higher in budget, but with fuel and equipment and personnel, and we know what our personnel costs are going to be contract wise. We can assume that the benefits and medical, all those things are going to continue to rise at a reasonable level. But what we don't know is, I think Sean and I were both shocked at utilities this month. When we looked at utility bills this month, they're up, and the utilities have all raised their rates. And we're seeing it at home and we're seeing it at work here. And so, yeah, it's we can't sustain, we can't live on the 1%. It's just we all know that.
So at 84 cents, does that allow them to make their contract payment?
They will be able to make their contract payment. They would have to dip into savings if about by my math, $140,000. If 10% of the taxpaying public does not pay their taxes, which is that's kind of the accepted math, they will have to dip into their savings $140,000. They currently have $500,000 in reserve.
And that also doesn't give them any kind of fund to.
That is putting every capital expense on hold.
Yeah, it's not doing any kind of fixes to the station that already needs significant fixes.
That is treading water for one more year.
Bad idea, but Is there a number in between those two that was considered?
No.
Wow.
Although I could present any, between now and May 1st, I can come up with 100 different scenarios. It's, I could come up with more scenarios. It's just the $1.15 allows them to make their payment, to have enough in reserve, not to put away, but to allow for continual regression or compression of the levy over time. So it might give them another 2 or 3 years. It allows them to consider and fund a councilmanic bond for the capital expenses that they need, a new engine, a new brush truck, a new tender, redoing Station 12 so that they don't destroy the building. And that's it. And that's what it gives them. That's what $1.15 gives them. 84 cents, like I said, if everybody pays their taxes, they'll make it by $140,000 or by about $100,000. If they don't pay their taxes, they're going to have to dip into reserves to the tune of about $140K if the math comes out the worst, and they will tread water for one more year.
My concern would be our future consideration to either merge with them or form an RFA, taking on an unfunded liability.
Correct.
Which is why we have gone to this 6-month contract renewal issue with District 4, is because it's not financially prudent for our district to sort of bail them out, if that is a adequate term. We know that the 84 cents is not going to be 84 cents next year. I know Liz Loomis is the expert, but is it worth passing something that isn't going to fix the problem?
And that's my concern, and I voiced that. And what I got back was District 4 needs a win this year.
Well, yeah, but it's
And
not a win.
Is incremental better than a no?
Well, a no means no fire department.
Or severely reduced service.
Right.
Extremely reduced service. We wouldn't be inheriting it unless we were merged. What we're inheriting is, I hate to sound selfish, but a lot more work for us next year. It will be on the levy. We'll be on the levy hamster wheel for 2 years straight, with a double levy lid lift next year again in 2024.
And if their engine goes down, what happens?
We have one reserve, but it's 11 years old.
And if the siding falls off their station,
We put blue tarps up.
Exactly. We'll put blue tarps up. I understand. I don't. Liz Loomis is extremely confident that we can get a win in District 4. She's got a track record of turning losses into wins. She promised me they'd work as hard as they could for District 4. I have no doubt of that. But she has to remove her confidence in a win if we go to $1.15. She doesn't believe that will pass. She says you're asking people to double their taxes, and in this environment right now, it's very unlikely that would happen.
how about $1? At least that gives them some breathing room.
Run the numbers.
I mean, this isn't really our issue. I mean, I'm just up here being like, okay, we really want to bring District 4 in. We
Right.
really do. I want to go on the record saying that. I don't want to bring them in at 84 cents. That's where I'm at.
Yep.
So if their residents don't understand that, their other choice is to pay super high homeowners insurance rates and get less than half the response they're currently getting. It seems silly to me to barely, well, we're throwing them a life preserver that isn't big enough to hold them out of the water is what we're doing.
I 100% agree. And I think it's the can's been kicked so far down the road, and it's now in the weeds, and we can't find it anymore. I'll put a dollar scenario, or I'll put a 99-cent scenario together and see what, try the used car sales thing and see if that maybe is more palatable.
I mean, I don't believe it's fiscally responsible to go through the expense of having a levy and all the time and effort. The expense isn't just how much it costs to run the thing. It's all of your time and our staff
Right,
time
staff time.
and all the meetings and the public meetings and all that, to end up with something that is going to require them to dip into reserves to just meet their service.
And then to do it again the next year.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that engine is due to be replaced.
Correct.
And the siding is due to be replaced. So there's $1.75 million right there that they don't have. I say you need a levy rate that at least gets them an engine and siding, and they can make their service payment.
I will work that scenario.
Well, I mean, and I feel bad.
No,
I mean, as District 21, because it's not our district. I'm just saying if I were on District 4's board, that would be the mindset I would have. Now, I guess it's up to them to run a levy that doesn't pay their bills, and then they don't have a fire department anymore. I do not want to take on that liability. Now, I'm just one of 5. That's my opinion. I just don't think it's fiscally responsible. Who are you asking? Well, I mean, with timing and scheduling and all that, if it's the desire of our board to reach out to their board, I certainly could do that personally with their board chair and sit down with him and share our concerns before they make a final decision on this. I mean, if 84 cents is, yeah, absolutely slam dunk, we're going to win. Well, it is for the person who is keeping hash marks on her wall of wins, but that doesn't solve the problem. A win is not a solution.
It's a lifeline for 1 year.
Yeah. And I'm willing to do that. I mean, I have the time, and I can get a hold of Steve, and if that's what our board is suggesting, I do. No, I agree. I mean, I sat down with the chief, and I know what these numbers do, and
Needs to be next week. I mean, but it needs to be next week before the May 1st.
yes, no, it would definitely be before their May 1st meeting, so that when they go to that meeting, they know where our board is on this issue. I mean, they're going to hear the chief's presentation of his recommendation for the numbers. They're going to hear Liz Loomis's recommendation for the win. But ultimately, if we ever form an RFA or merge, I mean, I have concerns already just because of how much Bellingham is taking of that property anyway, and their tax base is shrinking every year. Now, I guess what that ends up doing though is passing the burden on to the existing residents that live there, correct? So if Bellingham comes in and takes another 10%, then to get their budgeted amount, they have to raise their mill rate to the remaining 5 people that live in District 4 once Bellingham is done, correct?
That's how I understand it works. Yep. The budget will stay the same. It will just be spread over fewer taxpayers.
So their individual rate will increase as if Bellingham continues to annex property. All right. Scott, are you okay with me contacting District 4's chair and letting them know where we're at? Are you of the same mindset about taking on that liability that the rest of us are? Okay. All right. So I will work on getting a meeting with Steve next. Where are we here?
I'll tell Commissioner Crawford about our talks too.
Yeah, I'm open anytime next week. So, Jenny, will you reach out to Commissioner Cooley and ask what dates he would be available to meet? All right. Anything else on?
No, thank you for your perspective, though. I appreciate it.
Well,
No.
we're
And I say that for all of you. I mean, for any, it's, yep, I appreciate your perspective. Thank you.
I don't think 84 cents is a win.
I don't disagree with you at all. I think think we did several hours worth of work and discovered that $1.15 is what is needed, regardless.
I mean, we could, like I said, pare it down even tighter.
Reduce the capital projects to two critical ones, and move forward from there.
I mean, I think they have to have enough money to buy an engine, minimum.
Well, especially because an engine's going to take 18 months to.
Right. I mean, my concern is okay. So they get 84 cents. We go down this path of trying to pass more levies and mergers and RFAs and all that stuff. In the meantime, that engine craps out and we merge, and now we've got a worthless apparatus that's $1 million to replace. That's a loss for us.
Yes.
So,
The sad part of it is they've kicked this can down the road for so many years that, we're just looking at the outer shell of what needs to be done up there at that facility. And just getting the siding done is just putting a Band-Aid on those buildings. There's a lot of interior stuff that needs to be done. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done on the training grounds. I mean, major stuff that needs to be done out there, because again, nothing's been done. And unfortunately, the $1.15 will help. But again, that's not going to, I mean, if they want to do a merger, it's still putting onus on, say, us to fix the interior and all the other stuff that goes along with that too. So, yeah.
or Bellingham's training consortium. Did you have a comment?
Give my 2 cents on this.
Certainly.
My concern would be running 2 levies 2 years in a row, with just the problem of getting information out to all of the District 4 members anyways, and then to have to do it the second year. So as a taxpayer, it would be, I just did this last year, why am I going to do this again this year? Why am I going to vote yes when I just voted yes last year to increase it? And then also, if we're going to run the District 21 in 2024, trying to run 2 simultaneous levy campaigns is going to be, as the union, from our perspective, is going to be rather difficult. So that's just my 2 cents.
And the union's involvement will be necessary for both of these issues. So, thank you. All right. I will schedule a meeting and voice our concerns. And Chief, I guess I can meet with you and we can look at the numbers one more time. I mean, no fluff, no reserve, just down and dirty, make the payment and have enough money to fix those 2 things. Blaine Council tax increment financing issue. Chief, would you like to update us on what you know?
Actually, the union arranged a meeting between them and Richard May, city councilor for the city of Blaine, and myself last week. Had a good talk about the TIF. I had received a letter, it's in the correspondence, from the city of Blaine prior to that, stating that Blaine had pulled its application for the TIF. There's no explanation in the letter as to why. Councilmember May was able to kind of shine a light as to what happened. And then there's an article in today's Northern Light that talks about how it just was not financially penciling out for that to happen. And they felt that the state was going to reject their application anyway. The developers seemed to roll with the punches, and it appears the development's still on track to move forward. It was not, in the end, it appeared that they were only going to ask for about $2.5 million anyway. I believe what happened is the developer basically said, without the TIF, we're still going to move forward. So,
imagine that.
2.5 wasn't that much of an obstruction to the development happening. So that's why the TIF has been pulled back. I believe the article today said that the city was going to continue with their application, to have their application looked at by the state, but wasn't going to pursue any money. So,
okay, so the state didn't go through the whole process and say you don't qualify. The
Correct.
developers stepped up and said,
What
we're gonna make enough money on this to pay for it.
What I've been told is during the state's process, one of the developers said that the 2.5 million, if they did not get it from the TIF, it was not
A
going
deal
to
breaker.
stop the development. And that's when there's that but for question, and in the TIF application process, the city has to prove that this development will not happen unless this money is approved for infrastructure development. And when the contractor made that statement, said that, oh no, if it doesn't get approved, we'll just do it anyway. It's only 2.5. That negates the need,
Sure.
the required need.
Plus the city just re-evaluated their sewer project extension and have an extra
Significant
$2 to $3
savings.
million
Correct.
in that project.
Yes, there was significant savings on another project that would have made up that difference. And I don't know how they're all officially connected. I have not received any official communication. This is what I got from talking to a city councilor and what I've been able to glean from the news reports.
So bottom line, good news for us.
Good news for us.
I believe when you contacted their consultant, Mr. Stowe, that it was projected over that 25-year window that it would have resulted in over $1 million
$1 million impact to us.
revenue, decrease for us.
Correct.
In other words, as they were building out and their AVs went up, we would lose out on close to $1 million over that time frame. Which, when you're just barely scraping by, $1 million is $1 million.
And it's $1 million in operational funds. Yes, we would be receiving mitigation funds to the tune of about $440,000, but those are earmarked for capital growth. Can't pay salaries, it doesn't pay for tires or fuel or anything like that. It pays for stations. But you have to put people in the stations.
I'd like to
Put
build a
apparatus in
station for
stations.
$400,000.
Well, we'll talk about that in new business.
Well, good. I guess, Matt, just for your benefit, because you were kind of following this TIF issue pretty passionately, and I guess the lesson here is sometimes these things work their way out regardless of how active or adamant or crazy we get about them. But I appreciate you doing the background work on that, as well as bringing it to my attention and some of these other areas around the country that have tried these and they haven't necessarily been as great as maybe the developers would want cities to think they are. So thank you. Go ahead. All right. Any other unfinished business? Move to new business. Commissioner McMurray has some information on grant writing for us. So are we going to be able to share your screen?
I think so. Actually, do you want to come help me? To get back to email. Oh, no, that's So in our last meeting, Commissioner Rigberg set the bar high with his photos and his PowerPoint, so I had to follow in his footsteps of reaching the bar.
Way to go, Matt. You want to do what if you're dropped? To just listen by participate by phone? Is there anything you want me to repeat? Yeah, we can figure that out.
I'm sorry, I thought I had this queued up and ready.
There's a lot of stuff in your outlook.
Oh. Just building the anticipation. Okay.
Do we want to go on to something else while that's working, or what kind of?
I'm in.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, look at this.
Start the slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yay. Okay, so these are all pictures that I have taken of Mount Baker from my
Awesome.
neighborhood or my or my backyard, actually. So we're going to talk about research, application, training, and compensation.
Okay.
So I can read this, or if you guys want to. That's a complicated and multifaceted undertaking with a multitude of opportunities and award resulting in meaningful benefits to North Whatcom Fire and Rescue firefighters and the community we serve. Isn't that a beautiful sunrise?
It looks
That
like
was from-
looks like a wildfire to me.
I know. That was actually from our back door.
Wow.
So the starting point of writing a grant is the planning. What is the need? What is the nature of the project? What are our anticipated outcomes? What is our program or project budget? And then the process of research, which I gave you all a handout that has just a few that I found, and they're available through several government agencies, FEMA, DHS, EPA. There's so many, and there's also corporations as well as family, independent, community, and special purpose foundations. And truly, there's an endless number of hours that could be spent reviewing websites and reading through grant opportunities to find the right fit for the needs of our organization. So the requirements for each application varies. Some only want a letter of intent. Others require a detailed narrative of how the money will be used, anticipated expenses, how it will be monitored, dispersed, recorded, and reported back to the awarding agency, and an explanation of the need and what we have done to solve the problem prior to asking for money. And others call for additional information, which includes mission statement, general services provided, demographics, as well as statistical information on our fire department and community. So there's just a lot of details. I just wanted to throw this in there, that there are training opportunities if I were to become certified. But the biggest one would just be the one that's FEMA specific, grant writing at the National Fire Academy. But there's one in December, but I've been told December's not a good time to go to Washington, D.C.
It is
And-
if you like snow.
And there's a lot of outdoor walking
Ah,
between facilities. So the next one would be March 10th,
oh, that's good time.
2024. But prior to that, I need to take two prerequisite courses in incident command systems.
1 and 2.
Yeah, and they're about 4 hours long, and I can do them online, and there's not a cost, so that's easily done. No travel.
Interesting.
Pardon me?
Oh, I just, grant writing requires ICS.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder why.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Maybe to have a better understanding of what, maybe some part of what you're writing with the grant, the narrative component, based around fire service and that maybe.
Could be that that in order to get grant funding to go to Emmitsburg, you have to have some sort of, they have to tie it into.
Oh, command structure.
Command structure, and so they just require everybody to do.
So, but you say they're offered online.
Correct. Yeah, there's no travel involved with that. And yeah, they're 4 hours each. So
Oh.
it's a self-study, and
Well, you've got a in-home instructor right here, don't you?
I know, I'm gonna make him take the course with me. He's my better half. So I wanted to just throw out what the going rate is in Washington State with the bachelor's degree, but I'm not at the certified level, and I realize that. So in my proposal, the fact is I am learning a new skill, and my speed is slower than it will be moving forward as I get more experience. And that some grants do allow for you to include the grant writer fee, but some of them can take up to a year. It's a lot of time. I feel I'm in a rock and a hard place because it's too much work to do for free. But at the same time, I'm well aware of our budget constraints, and that I'm not a certified. This isn't my full-time job. So at the same time, and so with that said, I am proposing because a lot of time is spent on the research and the planning and gathering the information to submit the application. And if you prefer that I wait until it is awarded in the award, when we get the award, not if, that's my goal. So as a starting point, I am asking for compensation that I would put in a minimum of 25 hours a month at $15 an hour, and just see how that goes. If it ends up being a lot more or a lot less, then we renegotiate, and I'll keep track of time spent.
I'm excited that you're willing to do this. I guess my question would be a legal one, Chief, and
I wrote it down to ask Richard.
right. I mean, because you are a commissioner, can we, without a conflict of interest, hire you to do work for the district. Without maybe having to go out to bid, or I think there may be a conflict.
I'll ask him.
Another option would, I don't know what you're talking, what'd you say, 15? What does that come out to be a month?
375, I think.
15 times, what'd you say, 25?
Oh, yeah.
See, that's pennies. Would, and again, I'm thinking out loud here, is that you're entitled to commissioner compensation for meetings or something like that if it were worked into, a day's work is compensated at $128 a day,
Right.
and you just put it on your monthly meet. I mean, that would be the question I would ask Richard Davis. I think that avoids hiring someone to do work for the district that's a commissioner.
But there's also a yearly limit,
Right,
which is $12,000 gross,
right.
12,228.
So, I mean, I think you would probably actually get better compensation doing it this way.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, and you had just asked me to come up with a proposal, and I wasn't sure.
Right.
the
I mean,
application.
I think it's wonderful that you're willing to do this and that you've taken the time and effort. I just want to make sure we do it legally, but fairly, right?
Correct.
For you. I would think that if it was like, while you're working on a project, you're up to $128 a day at $12,000 a year maximum.
If she was to put in the 375, I'm just using that as a rough figure, times 12, and then a commissioner meeting per month, times 12, that's $6,060
Right.
a year.
Yeah.
You're well underneath the limit, but again, I would want you to be fairly compensated if you're working on something. So I think a question to our attorney would be appropriate at this point, and figure out. I think there's a way to make it work.
Okay.
I don't want to get into the, where Matt is now painting our fire stations on his days off, and we're paying him an hourly wage to do that. Which we'd be happy to do, Matt. Oh no, you have to supply your own paint. Is there anything else?
No.
Wonderful pictures of the mountain, by the way. Any questions, Matt or Scott? I mean, we need someone other than staff to be able to work on this. Staff is already maxed out with everything else that they're doing. Plus, they're involved anyway in reviewing and double checking and providing information. But
It takes a village.
yeah, if there is money out there, it would be nice to be able to glom onto some of it. All right, so we will pass that on for legal advice, and appreciate you taking the time to put together that wonderful presentation. You probably raised the bar above Matt now, so I'm not even going to try.
I don't think so.
Well, there's that. All right, so I guess we'll direct the chief to contact our attorney and figure out what our options are. And then I guess we would have to bring that back to you to see if that is acceptable, right?
Okay.
But I still think with the numbers you're talking about, you would be better off doing it as a meeting per day compensation, personally. All right, Birch Bay Station 63, Chief.
Chief Ward and I met with a firm called TCA. That's the group that you saw their glossy book of beautiful stations.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So we just had a pre-meeting, and believe it or not, I actually made a PowerPoint too. Commissioner Rayburg, no, not for this meeting here. But you would have been pretty proud. It was best of the best of Station 63, including the video.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of fun.
Just to kind of
Were they appalled?
the only disparaging comment was when I got to the picture of the kitchen. He asked if bell bottoms were required. Yeah, no, it was a good question. So they sent us, what we asked for from them was, this is our station. It's not adequate. Where do we go from here? And so what we've gotten back from them is basically a project scope. And I have, the project scope, it goes into multiple phases. It's not included in your board packet, unfortunately. But they have sent a letter of engagement. They have not given us any numbers yet. They were waiting to hear from us. I went ahead and made the executive decision to move forward with phase one, which the summary of that is it's services to obtain and develop site information and constraints, identify project elements, program, conceptual site and building diagrams for Station 63. So it's a high level look at, is Station 63 in the right spot? Can we use the lot we're on? What are their constraints, the zoning constraints, the environmental constraints, and come up with some basically elevations or drawings of what can we do with this lot? What can we do with some other lots that may be available in the Birch Bay area? We met for about an hour. I was very impressed with. I had no idea what went into fire station design and just some of the factors that they include. This would be Chief Ward backed me up. I basically heard remodeling's off the table.
It is definitely off the table.
There's really nothing they can do with that building as is. There might be pieces they can use, but they can't remodel the structure. It's not. It doesn't fit.
It's not remodelable.
It's not remodelable.
Well, even they look at the back end. The back end is where the shop is
Mhm.
in the ladder bay. That's the last addition that was put on, and he spoke about there's a cushion pad between the old construction and the new construction, and that has to be a certain width, and we're not within that certain width. And once it's that way, the remodel goes right off the table. Because you have an old building and a new building, and it has a lot to do with that. He spoke of that buffer pad for some reason between the two buildings, and it's all a matter of what the code is for it now versus what it was, and it's not a grandfathered in type of thing. So, plus he also spoke about the changes with the code and the fire protection that would have to go into it, and the changes that would have to go in for all the electrical and everything. It wouldn't be cost effective to tear a roof off, throw a cover over the top, and keep the shop. So
Well, those are the questions we need to have answered.
And that was first glance based on photos that we provided.
Sure.
There's been no site visit. There's been none of that has gone in. That's just first blush is what he's telling us, is that, like, look, with what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing a building that can be remodeled.
Sure.
I'm seeing a complete tear down and rebuilding of the station.
Okay.
And in order to incorporate the health and safety requirements that NFPA has, and not just requirements, but the recommendations that come from the union as far as the cancer prevention, sleep hygiene, just all the things. They can't put it in the footprint of that current building. So some of the highlights of things that will be provided to us in this phase one. And like I said, I've signed no contract. I've just asked them to move forward with providing us numbers. Would be, it's data collection on the station and site. There'd be a kickoff meeting and a visioning session. There'd be meeting with stakeholders, meeting with firefighters, meeting with public, asking for public input as to what they would like to see in a community fire station. Developing space diagrams and educating us on what goes into a new station. We think we know, but one thing I learned from watching this gentleman's presentation is that none of us really have a clue what goes into making a successful fire. They're talking about a number of steps between the living quarters and, while passing through a cold, a warm and a hot zone of cleanliness, basically. It's pretty amazing to see what they come up with. And yeah, going all the way to conceptual plans, at least elevations, so that you can see what the outside of the inside might look like. They have worked with Mr. Nelson before. That was one thing I wanted to make sure that they'd worked with DA Davidson on, so they understand how the funding all works, that they work as a team. And so, yeah, like I said, I've asked for numbers of what it would cost to move into phase one. And I took the liberty of doing that based on our Saturday meeting, that was something the board wanted to do. It does, in his engagement letter with us, or his pre-engagement letter, broadly, I'll quote him, broadly speaking, it takes about 2 to 2.5 years from design to move in. So that does fit. He understands the 36-month funding constraint that we work with the bond. So that's fits within that timeline. And that's what I've got as far as the remodel versus build on Station 63.
So us using them, there's no constraints as far as having to look at multiple vendors and.
They're on our small works roster, which under state law that allows us to use them. We'll see it depends on what their cost is for phase one. If it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, then yeah, we're going to go to bid. We'll have to go to bid. I mean, it's not my understanding. I don't believe that's how this works. The research shows that this will be a tens of thousands of dollars versus hundreds of thousands of dollars to move into phase one.
Be very similar, like we did with Station 62 when we used Highline Construction. Very similar. Their phase one was meeting with us, coming up with an agreement. They came back with, some drawings, some specifics for us, and it was under 10,000 for that. I mean, that was architectural drawings and meeting with the architect and their construction side of things. So at least we had a general idea of what kind of cost we would be looking at to do a remodel of the exterior of 62. So.
Questions? Can we use mitigation funds to do any of this?
That would be a legal question I'd have to ask. It is in the capital facilities plan to do a seismic upgrade to Station 63 in 2020. So that might be something that we can use, but I would want to get the thumbs up from legal before we used any mitigation funds.
I mean, basically, we're responding to growth and increased calls and et cetera, but
And part of the rebuild or remodel, whatever you want to call it, at Station 63 would be outfitting more bunk rooms for growth, right?
Sure.
We're not going to, thank you. We're not going to just do it with 4 bunk rooms.
Right.
It's going to be capacity to hold multiple crews, battalion chiefs, those kind of things.
Females.
Yeah, right. To be a more diverse workforce.
sounds good. We got to do something before it falls. What's that?
We have preliminary numbers from a different construction company, yes. And it's $1 million project. So that would be something that could be discussed when we get to the bond funding. You know, do we want to bundle those in a bond? Whether it's councilmanic or going out to the public. So we've got preliminary numbers for that. Similar to what we've basically been through a phase 1 with Station 62. This would be doing a phase 1 with Station 63. So it would really be looking at the sum total of what do we need to bring up the Birch Bay, almost Blaine area to catch up with growth. Correct. Yeah, all of any displacement, all of that is taken into account during the planning phase, during the pre-planning phase, so that there's no,
By this company.
by this company. Correct.
So yes, that's potential, right? To go to 62.
That is an option, but there's some things that have to be done at 62
Right.
first. So
Right. No, I
do
get
those
it.
first, and yeah, it's
Either that or we're living in a double wide, right?
By the river.
Which might be nicer than what 63 is. Sorry.
correct.
Yeah, I mean, if you could make 62 work, then you don't have to go buy a mobile home. And like I said, when you're done, then you actually have a functioning station at 62.
And you have room for expansion, room for growth.
Right. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it seems in my mind they are connected. Correct.
All right. So I know, Chief, you said you kind of went out and authorized
No
phase
expen-
1.
No expenditures of money. I just asked them for a bid for phase 1.
Right. So do you need any action by the board or not until they come back with
I
it?
think we're good until we get numbers. We haven't spent any money, so I would.
But I mean, I would assume that everyone here is in favor of pushing this forward sooner than later. Yes, Scott. Okay, so the board is on board.
And that gets us to maybe a very short discussion on the next point, which is financing options,
Mm-hmm.
if I may. We can't really move forward with Mr. Nelson on bonding until we get, one of the bullet points here is work on the cost estimator to develop order of magnitude, construction costs, and project budget based on escalated project construction date. So basically, this phase one would give us numbers that we need to move forward with Mr. Nelson in order to know what.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're sort of still leaning towards a commissioner bond indebtedness to get rolling, and before we would go to the public for a financing of our debt.
And Chief, we'd also have to get a finer tuned dollar amount for 62. If we're going to move that into place, as well as determine whether we were going to, we've talked about expanding a bay. We haven't done anything with the interior, so those two components are still not established yet. So those would have to be dealt with as well.
All right. So
There would. We would need to go back and refine the numbers. So the estimate for Station 62 was done in 2022. So now we'd have to have some updated costs for building out 62 to make it livable for, if we were to move the crew there during the rebuild of 63.
No, sir.
No, but the estimate was so high. I'm going to assume that those costs can't have changed that much. You know what I mean? What's that? Possibly. It was done at the height of when nothing was available. Does that make sense? So, yeah.
not likely, but nice thought. And I don't think the price has gone down, the availability has gone up. How's that? Okay, so financing options are dependent on the phase one report back, and we go from there. But I guess while we're on that, we need to make sure that the board understands what our potential plan is to take out a loan and get this thing going, because if we have to wait to do a levy lid lift and do a bond and do all that, we're 5 years down the road before we even think about breaking ground. So if we want to move this thing forward, I think we have to bite the bullet and loan ourselves some money and get going.
I'm sorry. I think you may have misunderstood. I'm not necessarily saying 63 can't go where it is. Part of the evaluation in phase one by TCA is the property where Station 63 is the best spot for it, both response wise and buildable land. And the hope would be the hope would be that the land is okay where it is. The station is located in the right spot, and we're able to build what we need on that spot, so that we don't have to pay additionally for land. Yeah. So that was just me. That was me painting worst case scenario.
Thank you for moving forward with that. Is there any other new business?
Not new business. It could be considered new. No, it's not new business. Sorry, my brain got scrambled there. If we're to the point where maybe we could slide into good of the order or just a generalized announcement.
Not.
Senate Bill 5770 is hopefully coming to the floor today or this weekend. That is it provides state and local property tax reform. It would allow junior taxing districts such as us to increase our budget to up to 3% higher as opposed to 1%. It is competing with another measure, something about real estate tax reform, which I don't have a very good knowledge of. The prevailing wisdom is that one of the two will pass. I have sent in a letter of support or an email of support to Senator Shoemake that would have the impact of being able to do 103% per year would be the beginning of a fix to the restrictions that I-747. And I also would like it on the public record that I understand that is an impact to taxpayers. It's not something I did lightly. I recognize that people are feeling pressed by taxes, but we are an emergency service that's been hamstrung by this thing for 25 years almost, and it is. I think that we can easily justify the impact of the 1% limitation, and to give us a little breathing room at 3% would be helpful. And so I went ahead and sent an email to the senator asking her to support Senate Bill 5770 if it comes up for a vote.
There was a House bill, right, and it didn't pass.
It didn't make it off the floor. Yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of
Okay.
our last hope this year.
Correspondence is in our packets. We had the letter from the city of Blaine. We had Mike Peden's letter of resignation, and then various articles in the local news about fires. And what was this one? Oh, and then Z Recycling, you sent that letter thanking them for donating the vehicles. That's a nice resource to have. All right.
And Mr. Thompson would be a good ally. He's someone we want to keep on the friends list.
All right. Next meeting is on the 18th of May. Does that fit in everyone's calendar?
Yes.
Guess I should put it. May 18th?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Scott, you good? Okay. Next, I guess we'll need an levy amount. Maybe get an answer from legal about the grant writing
Yes.
issue. I don't know if there'll be any more movement on Station 63.
I would expect that we'll have an agreement or a draft agreement.
Okay, to approve.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have that. Anything else? Give us an update on Senate Bill 5770.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know what their time frame is. We should have like I said, we should have an agreement from them. Let me look through their letter real quick and see.
And that will also be coordinated through our bond manager. He sort of takes that on and guides us through that timeline. I believe he said it would be very easy to get something wrapped up before the end of this year.
Well, actually, so phase two of the station build out is actually funding support. And they've already got in the document for phase two, which is, and these are all noted as future if needed, that working with DA Davidson on funding support. So I can't tell you the length of time of phase one, but I can tell you in here in their notes that I'm looking at it, phase two, once again, it's if needed. It already talks about moving forward with DA Davidson and getting all those things taken care of. Correct.
All right. We need to have an executive session. We're good for next meeting. Executive session per RCW 42.30.110 subsection G to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review the performance of a public employee. There will be no action after the executive session. We will break for 10 minutes. And it's 12:30 now, so we'll be back at 12:40.
We are reconvened.
Adjourn and sign documents.
Commissioner Hansel, I do have one favor of the board.
Yeah.
Oasis Tech / Kelly Connect is going to be doing some upgrades to the computers, malware upgrades as well as antivirus upgrades relatively soon. The request from them is that obviously you don't keep your computers on all the time.
You can have mine.
They don't have to be logged in, but they have to be left on. So if there's a possibility of you guys leaving your computers on starting Monday, that would be advantageous because they can remote on without any issue. They just need to have the computer on. So if you could leave them plugged in and just turned on, that would be great. And if we miss you, that's fine too. We'll make Oasis Tech do it on another day for you. So it's one of those things where if they have them all on, they can do a mass data dump into the system rather than have to do them one at a time. It just speeds their time up a little bit. But if they have to do onesies, they'll do onesies.
Are they planning to do it Monday, or do you don't?
No, if I can have you leave them on Monday, I can get a hold of Todd and we can have them done scheduled like right away. So
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Any other business before the board? Hearing and seeing none, we have documents to sign. I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12:42. Did I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Commissioner Fisher.
Good to see you, Scott. I will get in touch with you.